What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Conversation, a Crosspoint City Young Adults podcast created to help young adults know and follow Jesus. My name's Darian, and we got the rest of the crew here.
What up?
Hey.
What's up, y'all?
How's it going?
Good.
It's been a minute.
I know.
It's been a minute.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's been, the last time we were recording, it was like a storm. And we couldn't even use that episode. It was bad. Like the lights turned off. Like,
The thunder was rumbling.
Okay, the enemy did not want us to record that episode, but we're back.
We are. So take that, the devil.
Yeah. Okay. All right, y'all. So today we're going to be talking about singleness, and really this whole episode is going to be about understanding the gift. We just went through young adults in our last gathering. We talked about how to thrive in singleness, and we talked about a whole bunch of stuff. So before we kind of start, I just want to ask you guys, like, what was y'all's main takeaway? All right, Ansley, you're married, and Darian, you're single. So just give me some feedback. Like, what do you think? Like, how was it? Did you learn anything, or could he encourage anybody with that?
It was awesome. I absolutely learned so much that I can encourage other people with. Like, I took so many notes. It was so good. You did phenomenal.
I appreciate it.
One of the biggest takeaways that I got that I don't think I've thought about like this is that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but the Lord is not surprised by the season that you're in. The Lord is not taken by surprise that you're single. And so if he has you in this season, it is good, and just lean into him in that. So that was a huge one for me.
You know, want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
That part right there.
Yeah.
Kara put that in.
Oh, go Kara.
Yeah.
Kara.
Like, because she obviously, every sermon that I write, she gives me input. We talk through it. And she had written something probably when she was single, probably like 6-7 years ago. And that was in it. Like, she said, it was just talking about singleness. And she pretty much said, yeah, like, God's not surprised, you know? Like,
that's beautiful.
So it was nice. I was like, man, that's a bomb. I'm putting that in there.
So, like, that's my wife.
Can't take credit, okay?
That's cool.
But Darian, what about you?
I would say the perspective shift. I think a lot of times in a season of singleness, we just forget that we have a choice of how to view it. And we have a choice of how to steward that season.
Yeah.
And so I think the perspective of viewing it truly as a gift, I think a lot of single, not just young adults, but people in general, have a really hard time truly acknowledging and believing that singleness is a gift. So I think giving the whys, and we can get into that more later, but I think that was super helpful from like a practicality and like taking your thoughts captive standpoint.
Yeah, no, that's good. See, that was my whole point of writing the sermon. I thought I would remember, like, somebody would ask me about my single friends, and they would then, like, when they asked about that person, be like, is there something wrong with them because they're single? And I was just like, no. Nothing's wrong with them. They just haven't found the person, okay? Yeah. They're awesome, okay?
Yeah.
The other people are weird, but just thinking through, like, no, there's nothing wrong if you're single, you know? And I just, that was like the angle that I was coming from. Like, I wanted people who were single to be encouraged. Yeah. Like, this is a great time, you know? And so, so if you didn't listen to the sermon, you can find it on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music. Go check it out, because we're going to be talking for the next couple of weeks about singleness, and a lot of the things that we're going to be taking from is the sermon. So let's just dive into the topic that we're going to talk about today, and it is understanding singleness as a gift. And the first question I want to kind of chop up with you guys is, did you view singleness as a gift? Why or why not? I think this is going to be a good little answer. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
All right, go ahead.
If you want me to. Did I view singleness when I was in that season? I did not. I feel like, and I was talking to Darian about this before we started, but relationships and marriage can become an idol, like within culture. And so I thought the end goal is for me to find that person. And so I was constantly needing to be in a relationship. But what I needed to realize was I needed to lean into the Lord and wait until he brought the person. My priorities just weren't in the right spot.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I think we do put marriage at this like level.
Yeah.
You know, I remember talking to somebody and they even said like, "Oh, I wouldn't even go to a church if the pastor wasn't like married or if the pastor, didn't have kids." And I was like, "Man, Paul wouldn't have been your pastor then."
Wow.
Or Jesus.
Yeah, or Jesus, because they was single. But
That's a mic drop.
it was just crazy that we do put like relationships and marriage and like just in another level. Like something's wrong with you. And to be honest, that's actually the way they were viewed in the Old Testament. Like they only had two categories. There wasn't like dating and marriage and singleness and all this stuff. It was either you were married or unmarried.
Yeah.
And so that's the way it looked. So what about you, Darren? What do you think?
I think in this season now, I 100% view it as a gift.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people, and we kind of touched on this a few minutes ago, a lot of people have a really hard time believing that. But I definitely view it as a gift. And I just think it has this season, the way God has been able to use it to challenge me to be more like him and to look more like him and to just take me to a deeper place with him, but also the freedom time-wise I have to just chase after Jesus with everything I have it really is, because I don't have to, worry about a spouse or kids. Now, I'm not saying that those things can't be on the table one day, but in this season, I think it's like I'm just able to just run after Jesus and just do whatever he calls me to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was definitely the biggest part of the sermon, just talking about you have undivided attention to get to know God and to serve him and all that good stuff. So I'm glad that happened. I do have a question.
Okay.
When did that season start? So you said like now in this season, like did that happen recently? Was it a thing,
I
it's
think,
been years? Like what's it been?
I mean, I've been single for a few years, but I think because of the relationship my last relationship was one where Jesus was not the center of it, and I just settled because I didn't want to be single or whatever the reasons were. And let me tell you, it did not fulfill what I needed.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately why that relationship ended. And so, but I can tell you now in the singleness of saying, God, you know what? You're the only one that can fill these voids in my life, and you're the only one that can heal me from all these things and whatnot. The moment I put Jesus in those pockets of holes in my life is when I just was freed up.
Yeah.
And just found a peace. And so I think because I left a relationship that compromised my walk with the Lord to then pursue Jesus, that is what's made this sweeter.
Yeah. No,
there's
awesome.
nothing like settling in a bad relationship that makes you think, I will be single any day over walking what I just walked.
Yeah.
And living in that sin and having that disconnected relationship from the Lord, like he is worth everything.
100%.
Well, there's a proverb that says, I'd rather be live in the corner of an attic than to be married to a quarreling wife. Like there's just, I mean, that's a principle that you could say, I'd rather be single than dating the wrong person.
Yeah.
I'd rather be single than marrying the wrong person.
Yeah.
So, I would say for me, it took me a while to view singleness as a gift. I was always in and out of relationships. So like, and I would stay in relationships pretty long. I dated a girl for 5 years and then we broke up. She actually broke up with me on my birthday. So that was like awful. But we went to go see Spider-Man. So it was all right. It was, but I remember just like leaving. I was like, man, I'm 25 and I was like, I'm single. Like everybody around me is married. Like what in the world?
Comparison.
But, comparison kills. And then I just started to really work on my relationship with Jesus. I was serving and I think it took me a year to really realize like it doesn't matter. Like this is a gift because I can do so much more than what my friends can do at this time. Like I could travel. I was going to on a mission trip 3 times a year. I was able to go overseas, just do whatever I want whenever I wanted to. And I was like, man, this is amazing. And then also I realized if I was so miserable in my singleness, how was I supposed to invite somebody into that?
Yeah.
Like I think single people need to understand like, if you hate your singleness, it shows. And why would somebody want to join in your misery when you should be excited and that's what you're inviting somebody into? And so when I realized like, I need to figure out how to love life and love where I'm at so that somebody would be wanting to join in and be in a relationship so that we could go and do everything God wants us to do. And I was like, man, and then I realized, like, I don't have to wait to be in a relationship to begin to live my life.
Yeah.
And as soon as that clicked, like, the next 2 years were like the most amazing 2 years ever. Like, I started to run after Jesus, and I really started to focus on just making friends. And then that's where I met Kara. I would go to other young adults, like groups, and I was like 26, 27 at the time. So I was just trying to look for community. And me on my search for friendship is where I met my wife.
That's usually how it happens when you stop looking.
Yeah, like, so that would, I say, it took me a while to view it as a gift. But when I did, it changed everything.
Yeah.
So.
And as a piggyback off of that, too, I would just say singleness is a gift in the sense of, like, learning boundaries. Because if you can learn how to compartmentalize or have boundaries in relationships, your time with the Lord, work, whatever that is, your money, if you can learn that now while you're single, it's going to set you up for success when you get more responsibility added to your plate, which a relationship tends to take more of your time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would also say, and this is something the Lord has really taught me in this season of singleness, is use this as a time to remove sin in your life that would kill a marriage.
That's right.
And so, like, there are things that, you know, I was saying, doing, looking at, whatever, that if I would have brought that, or habits I had that, if I would have brought that into a marriage, especially a marriage that's supposed to be God-centered, it would kill it.
Yeah.
It would not thrive. It would not be God-honoring. And so, and even then, if my motivation to remove that sin was to have a healthy marriage, even then, that's a heart problem. Like, the only thing that should motivate me to remove sin in my life should be to protect my relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I think even that, like, the Lord had to kind of check me in that too. Like, what's motivating you for wanting to look like me?
But if you can learn faithfulness in singleness, you're going to be able to be faithful in a marriage. I absolutely hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's one thing, the faithfulness thing too. I'll say, like, some people are like, well, we're just going to get married because, you know, we can't wait to not have sex. It's like, if you're getting married because you're struggling to stay pure while dating, what makes you think you're going to be able to stay pure when you're married?
Yeah.
Like, you got to know that self-control and singleness, because the enemy's, if you're trying to have a Christ-centered marriage, the enemy hates marriage.
Yeah.
So if you can't exercise self-control now in your singleness, you're definitely not going to be able to exercise it when you're married.
Yeah, I think you got to balance it, because Paul does say if you, like, you know, fired up with passion, that you should get married, you know.
You should be fired up with passion for the Lord.
You should, but just if you can't control yourself physically, you know, there's some people that, it shouldn't be the whole reason.
Yeah.
But I think if you can't control yourself, like, you need to begin, if both of y'all are at that spot, you know, and you haven't crossed any boundaries, then I think you should be looking in that direction, you know, just because marriage is the only place that you could exercise those things in. So, but just I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know? But I do agree, like, if you're waiting to get married to pursue holiness, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you begin to pursue holiness right now in the season that you're in singleness, because it is true. Like, I don't know what pastor said it, but marriage problems are really just single people problems that they brought into a marriage.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, you've never heard that before?
Never heard that.
Yeah. So marriage problems are usually not marriage problems. They're single people problems that people brought into a marriage.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. You know, and in marriage, what does Tim Keller say? Marriage is a magnifying glass to the heart. Like, it's really going to show you everything that's in there. And so when you get married, it's really going to expose a lot of things.
All your ugliness comes up.
And then have kids, and then it's going to even expose even more stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, but let's chop this up. So, how can understanding, because you kind of hinted on it a little bit, how can understanding singleness as a gift rather than a burden change your perspective on being single?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that it just kind of recenters or refocuses what actually defines you and who actually defines you. In the sense of, if you know that being single is a gift to just have deeper intimacy with the Lord,
Yeah.
you will find so much more fulfillment. Because there's going to be times where you look at your spouse and you're going to be like, I love you, but I do not like you right now.
What
and
the?
you are irritating me.
I never say that. Kara, if you're listening, I love you.
But all that's
like
to
you.
say is,
And I like you.
if you're putting your identity in your spouse, you're going to be let down.
Yeah.
They're human.
Yeah.
And your spouse also didn't ask to be.
Yeah, well, they
that
can't
for
feel
you.
that for
They
you.
can't.
You know, no, it doesn't matter how good a person is; they can never give you what only God can give you.
Yep.
It doesn't really matter. So, what do you think, Ansley? How can understanding singleness as a gift rather than a burden change your perspective on being single?
Whew, that's such a that's so good. So I love all that you're saying of like the Lord needs to be the main thing in your life. Because if you can't find contentment in Him in singleness, you're definitely not going to be able to find contentment in the Lord in your relationship. Carlos, will you answer this question? I have a thought that I'm processing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that if you can understand that this is a gift of time, right? And that you have time to do so much. And I think that one of the things I said in the sermon was if we look for singleness to give us the benefits of marriage, we'll always be unhappy.
Yeah.
And vice versa. If we look at marriage to give us the benefits of singleness, we'll definitely blow our lives up. So I think that the way to have this perspective that singleness is a gift is to understand that it is a gift of time.
Yeah.
And you can see it. Like I even use an example, like I was asking a young adult the other day, like, where was this other guy? Like, I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
And their response, oh, they're in a relationship.
Like, that's real.
And they just disappeared, like off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Like they were committed. They were coming to everything. They were going to Bible study. They were going like just doing everything. Like I thought superstar. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Then they get in a relationship, bro. And I don't know. I thought something happened. You know, I thought they got kidnapped. You know, like what happened?
Why do you think that happens?
Because I feel like we show up to church and all these things for a relationship. And then when we and we say we're here for Jesus, but we're really just here to try to get somebody else. And then once we get what we want, we're gone. We don't longer need this commitment that we were doing, and so we dip out and we start hanging out with that person. Ben Stewart, in his book Single, Engaged, Married, he says, you guys are, it's like everybody's running a race, right?
Yeah.
And we're running as fast as we can towards Jesus. And then what happens is we start to look to our left and to our right, and we start seeing other people that are running too. And we get excited because they're kind of cute, and you know, they're looking at us, we're looking at them. And instead of running together towards Jesus, what happens is they tackle each other. And they pretty much take each other out of the race, right? I'm not saying that they're not going to be saved or anything like that, but I'm saying in their pursuit of the Lord,
Definitely.
it slows it down.
It's a hurdle, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what I just see. And so for me, I think that shouldn't happen. But the reason I bring that up is because relationships take time.
Yeah.
Once you enter in a relationship with somebody, it's going to take time, right? And I think, I'm trying to remember how I said it. Dating will impact your schedule. Marriage will control your schedule. Or no, I forgot what I said. Marriage will change your schedule, and then kids will control your schedule.
Yeah.
And singleness, like you get to be control of your time. But in every other relationship, it starts to impact things that you do. You can't do everything that you wanted to do when you were single. And
I want to give another perspective. So you gave kind of, and this is a lot of times, the negative perspective of somebody who was serving all the time, but they were kind of looking for that spouse and their motives were off.
Yeah.
But also we have a friend who was serving so much in his singleness, but then he just got married and they had to move to her hometown. Mm-hmm. And so he's no longer able to serve except for when they come and visit, he helps out. But like, I just feel like it's beautiful in your singleness to be focused on what is the Lord calling me to do today, because when He does call you, like it's not bad that friend moved away and couldn't be as involved.
Yeah.
But anyways, so like the positive side of it of like it's okay that the season changes and you're now busy.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
But the season does change and you don't have as much availability.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the way to view it as a gift is it's a gift of time. You can do so much more single than you could do in a relationship and married in this aspects of spending time with God and serving Him.
Yeah.
You know, I know that couples can serve together and do all these things, yes, but you have more responsibilities in a relationship than you do single.
You're right.
And so, but they also see it as like a burden. They feel like I'm left out. Like they feel like it's just something bad, like something's wrong with them. And that's why I just don't like. If you're single, nothing's wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know, like singleness is a gift. Jesus was single. Paul was single. We kind of already said those things. Like it's not a burden. It's not like you're contaminated or you're sick. No, you're just single, you know, and learning how to enjoy it. And I think the devil loves to tell us something's wrong with us in this season. Like he just whispers, nobody likes you. Nobody loves you. And they're all lies.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus died for you, regardless if you were single, dating, engaged, or married. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, and something that I encourage people to is while marriage and being a parent and the things that come with that are beautiful things, and the Lord made those for a reason. And I think it's just to look and love like him in different ways. But at the end of the day, in heaven, we're just sons and daughters of the King.
Yeah.
Like, we're not husband or wife or mom or dad. Like, we're just children of God. Like, that's all we are in heaven, you know? And so I guess I would just encourage the people that may be struggling with the singleness of just cling to hope that your eternal title or whatever definition is a better word would be that you're a child of God.
Your identity.
Yeah.
If you find your identity in your relationship status, it's not going to fulfill you.
And that's not, So
That's good.
Yeah, so we need to look at the season we're at today and, like, how can I be faithful in it today, wherever I find myself.
Yeah. No, that's good.
So.
All right, so let's close like this. How could we encourage, or what advice would you give adults to encourage them? Like, just in their season of singleness. Like, one thing, think about it for like 30 seconds. One thing that you would say to a young adult right now in this season of singleness to encourage them in this season. Take a second. What do you guys think?
I would say the advice I would give to encourage them would be learn to know your priorities.
Yeah.
I would also say I would encourage them to just build a godly community and know there are people around you who love you no matter what season you're in and are rooting for you. And I would just encourage them to get plugged into godly community because they're going to remind you of who you are and whose you are.
That's good.
Also, I would encourage them to get around just older, wiser people if you can. I know sometimes it's hard to find like mentors and things like that, but just get into godly community. Get a godly mentor if you can.
Yeah.
And process with people. Like, it's okay to say that you're sad about something. It's okay to say you're angry about something, but process with people.
Yeah. No, that's good. Nancy, what do you think?
I would say what I opened with. I mean, God is not surprised by your singleness. And so, he is sovereign. Either he's sovereign or he's not. And so he has you in the spot that he does today. So just follow him with everything you have, whether you're single or whether you find that person. Just worry about your relationship with him first and foremost, and all other things will work themselves out.
Can I piggyback off that?
Yeah.
I love that you said that. I promise you, when you are just chasing after Jesus, everything you have, and you are keeping him a priority, and you are keeping sweet, intimate time with him every day a priority, you'll notice that these, viewing singleness as a burden starts to get less and less.
Ooh.
And so I would just really, really, I love what you said at the end of that. Just really encourage. I promise you, chasing after Jesus and creating intentional time and inviting him in to intentional time, you're not going to regret it.
No. Well, fixing your eyes on Jesus makes everything around you like dim.
Yeah.
You know, because you're just focused on him. My encouragement and advice would be like, you don't get this time back.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
like the older I get, I just feel like, man, like there's so much time I've wasted, you know, and I pray that we don't waste a gift of singleness, especially because it's a gift of time. And so my encouragement to them and to single people would be take advantage of the time that you have. Like run after Jesus, cultivate great friendships, create these rhythms in your life that reflect the decision that you made to follow Jesus and just pursue him, you know.
That's really good. As you said, that made me think of something. The verse where it just talks about, well done, my good and faithful servant. You're not going to hear that because you got married.
Yeah.
You're going to hear that because you advanced the kingdom of God and we're following Jesus with everything you had. So
that's a good thought. That's a good thought. So Jesus, teach us how to number our days because we don't get them back. But I feel like this was good. It's a good place to pin it, guys. We're excited about continuing the conversation of singleness. If you haven't listened to the sermon, you can check it out on our Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to things. But with that being said, hey, we love you guys. We're here for you, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
bye.